guys, and welcome. This is GM Performance Media. My name is Gerald Matthew, and today we're going to be looking at the lovely BMW M440i. Had this car maybe 5 months now. It's been treating me nicely. What we're going to do today is just going to talk you around what it's like to drive, what it's like to live with, just what it's like being a BMW car owner. Obviously it is the M Lite car, it's not quite the M4, but we're going to see if it does pack a punch. So we're going to see how this car performs, we're going to do some comparison work, we're going to see what it sounds like, and we're even going to launch it. We have the 19-inch alloys. It came with Goodyear tyres. They are fairly good, although I might be changing them to some Pirellis or Michelins a bit later on. So we have the red M brake calipers as standard on this pack. I pretty much got it with everything in it, as you'll see once we get inside. But it's got the Tech Plus pack, it's got the Comfort pack, it's got the Visibility pack. A lovely segue into the BMW laser headlights. And as part of the Tech Plus pack, we have the 360 cameras. So you've got your radar in the front, which is kind of disguised in there. We've got the camera at the front, camera underneath the wing mirrors. You have the Drive Connect at the front, which basically you can plug a memory card into it and it becomes a dash cam if you're in an accident or anything goes wrong. And then the only real modification I've done to it, currently it is completely stock, is a carbon fiber wing. So once we're into the car, I have the M Performance seats. I mean, these are the comfy seats. I don't think you can get the bucket seats in the M440i. That comes in the M4s and above. But what you do get with these chairs is lovely comfort, so you can take this on a nice long drive. It has the bolster support, so you can toggle a little button down here and it will hug you, so when you're going around your country chicanes it will keep you nice and positioned in your seat, so you'll feel nice and secure when you're driving at legal speeds. So we have not a flat bottom steering wheel, but got a round chunky BMW steering wheel with a little M logo. I mean, as an M Lite car we have a lot of M detailing everywhere. You got M stitching on the seat belts. I'll show you once you open the door and then you close it. You get the seat belt that comes out to greet you. You plug it in and it goes away. Inside we have the Harman Kardon stereo system. Don't ask me how many speakers, I do not know. But it packs a punch, it sounds great. As part of the Comfort Plus pack we have the memory seats, which you can see here. Unfortunately, the biggest bugbear that I have with this car is that it doesn't have memory seats on the driver's side, and the passenger side is very driver focused. But what that does mean is you can set one or two, set your position, and then press the button if someone's been in your car and it will get you back to where you need it to be. Here we have the driver selector. So if we start the car, we have the Sport, Comfort, Eco Pro and Adaptive mode. I mean, I'll keep this if it's a long drive either on Eco or Comfort. And then when you want to have a little bit of fun, you put it in Sport, Sport Plus and Sport Individual. So without further ado, let's hear what this car sounds like. And then we'll take it on the road and see what it's like to drive. So I mean, the great thing about owning one of these cars is it does everything. It's your perfect daily driver. You can stick in Eco, stick in, wait, what's that? So we are sitting in the BMW M2. We have the carbon bucket seats, and straight away it is a completely different drive. So one thing I have found is when you are in sport mode, there is less noise pumped through the speakers than there is in the M440. That is actually just following me behind. But yeah, it is a nice place to be. We have, as I said, 450 horsepower, 550 newton meters of torque quoted by BMW. Again, I'm sure you would find slightly more if you were to dyno this car. We have a lot of carbon in here. It screams sporty. It tells you that it's a sports car. It doesn't feel too unusable as a daily, but you do know that the suspension is a lot stiffer. You feel the bumps, you feel the road a lot more, as you would if you were on the track as well. This feels like it is a more performance-based car aimed at driving and drivability. Just had a little Google, and we will stick the traction control to off. Luckily it is nice and dry, so we shouldn't have any issues. Sport mode for shifting. Hard on the brake, hard on the accelerator. Preparing launch control, launch active. Wow, a bit screwy off the line, but when you do get going, it hooks up. Going on to the finance topics, obviously we have PCP options, HP options and lease options, or to buy outright, which in today's day and age is probably the least favored option, especially with a car like this. It does obviously have its perks, you have your warranty and things like that. You don't have to worry about monthly payments if you have the money to front all in one go, but a lot of people, they prefer to just do a PCP or a HP or even a lease. And the good thing is, once you're in a BMW ecosystem, you can always get valued at different points of your contract and see if it's worth handing the car back or sticking with it for a few more years or trading it or anything like that. Your BMW sales advisor will be able to give you some good advice on that. One thing for me though, I went through Oracle Finance in my PCP, and I think I got something like 8.9% as my interest rate, and now that is probably the going rate for cars at the moment. 8.9% is fairly good, I'd say. The interest rate does vary quite a bit, so you want to understand exactly when is the best time to buy the car, and when you should maybe hold out. Obviously for me, the winter time, the car prices go down, not many people are buying cars. In the summer, everyone wants to buy a car, so they're gonna keep the prices nice and high. But these cars are good. I mean, they hold their value well, so 2-3 years down the line, when you look to sell it or trade it, you'll be in hopefully positive equity. So let's talk comparison. Which is the better daily driver, the M440i or the M2? Well, in the M440i, we have the different drive and selected modes. So we have Sport, Comfort, Eco Pro and Adaptive in this particular configuration. So I'm currently in Eco, and it's returning a fairly respectable MPG. In actual fact, through the entirety of me having the vehicle, I'm averaging 24 miles per gallon, and that's with driving it the way this car wants to be driven. But that's not to say it can't achieve any better than that, because on a long drive, I've achieved in the mid-40s, and that's continuous speed, varying between 50 and 70 miles per hour, normal motorway speeds, and that for a 3-litre turbo is not too bad at all. So of course in the M440i we have the xDrive setup, and in the UK, as we know, the weather's not always amazing. In fact, it is more often than not pretty poor. When it's wet, it's cold, it's snowy, it's icy, it's slimy on the roads. xDrive does give you that little bit of satisfaction, that little bit of security, just to know that if something is on the road, if you do have to put your foot down, it can get the power down when it needs to. Or I can put it into sport, I can shift into traction into its sporty settings also, or shut it completely off, then we can have some fun. The power is going majority to the rear now. The tail will fly out if I need it to, and I know that I am driving a BMW car. So we'll go through how to do a launch start on this car, because a lot of people don't know how to do it. So all you do, you put it straight into sport mode, goes into sport plus, make sure the sport traction is on. Should just be able to see that. Dynamic traction control activated. You put it to the left, the gear selector goes to the left hand side, that's your manual and sport shifting, and then you are good to go. All we need to do, you come to a full stop, you want your left foot to go hard down on the brake, right foot goes hard down on the accelerator. Launch active. And that is 60. That brings me on to the gearbox. So we're sporting the ZF 8-speed gearbox, which BMW are putting in all of their cars now, but with this particular gearbox configuration, it is tuned slightly more for everyday driving and road usability. And into the sport setting, you can find it looking for gears, hanging onto its revs just a bit too much when you're pottering through town, which is why it's always a better option to have it in comfort, maybe eco mode if you're on a continuous run. But I would generally have it in comfort mode, just because the gearbox is in its most relaxed setting, and the suspension is a bit softer also. Now you could configure the sports mode, of course, so I could have in my sports individual settings, I could have the suspension tuned to the comfort setting, and I can also have the gearbox tuned to comfort, which would give me the overall sporty driving, comfort for the suspension, and it won't leave the gearbox looking for gears in the same way it is currently. And working with that ZF 8-speed gearbox, we also have the turbo setup. So in the M2, it's a twin turbo setup, I believe. I'll correct on the screen if I'm wrong. In here we have a 3-litre twin scroll single turbo mated to that 3-litre inline B58 engine. And what that means is we get that low down grunt and that minimal turbo lag. So when you're in sport, it's always ready to go. You put your foot down, it responds, and that's what you want from a performance coupe. I'm just gonna hope this guy does not scratch my paint, and we're clear. GM Performance Media, I want this to be a channel where we can talk about the realistic living costs and what it's like to own these sorts of cars on a day-to-day basis. These are the sorts of things we don't really see. We know about the figures and the performance, but what is it actually like to live with these cars? Now, some of the features that come in these cars and which box to tick if you're speccing it from new, or what to look for if you're trying to find a used car, that is actually what I find most important. In this particular configuration, we have pretty much left no box unticked, meaning all of the autonomous driving setup I have on board. We've got the adaptive suspension, we've got the heads-up display, we've got the comfort access, we've got the sports seats, we've got the laser lights. Everything you could ask for, I have ticked. Coming into this was my first BMW car. This was the M Lite car. I do hopefully want to go into the M4 M3 next, the LCI version, but we'll see how that goes. I will flash to a clip of the laser lights in use. That is just a good example of how a car set up like this can benefit you in sort of just everyday driving. I know some people, where you're not confident driving at night or on longer drives on the motorways, things like that, that really does take the edge off a little bit, because you know everything is going to be lit up. You see a sign and that is completely illuminated, so even with slight visual impairments, that is something to overcome that. Always wear your glasses. And of course we have the autonomous driving functions. So on the steering wheel we have the lane assist and steering control settings. So if I press that button, it does work better when driving on straight roads, on the motorway, around country lanes, around town. It's not the best, because if there's a car parked in your lane, it will panic, it will think what the is going on, and you will then have to take control properly. On the motorway, again, it just takes the edge off. You're holding the wheel, but it's doing all the driving for you. You can take your feet away from the pedals, you can sit back, you can relax in the comfort and security, knowing that it's keeping you the safe distance away from the car in front of you, which you can adjust on the steering wheel also, and it's also keeping within the speed limit. You're not going to accelerate into no man's land, into a speeding ticket, and you're also going to be saving on fuel, which is great. So as I go into sport for the last time, I'm reminded of just how split the personality is of this car, and that's probably the best thing that I love about this car. You can be pottering around in eco or comfort. The engine is silent. In eco and comfort mode, it will completely shut down the engine when coasting, and you can get graphics and configurations on the screen to tell you when that is happening. But as soon as you put it into sport, it comes alive. You hear that B58 engine screaming, and you realize that yes, I am actually in a BMW, as I see an M3 pass in front of me. Of course, for a livable car, it's not the most economical. You can get the M340d and M440d, but I mean, when it comes to fun, when it comes to jumping in a car and having your smile on your face, we're talking smiles for miles in this car, and I would not have it any other way. So for the last time, thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will bring you more content in the future. Do let me know also what you want to see on the channel. I do hope to do a few modifications to this car, and as I said, do want to move into the M4 slightly later on, but stay with me guys and be on the journey with GM Performance Media.